Right, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. It's been so long, and as you can see, no Dak with us or here if you're listening to the audio version. If you've no heard, I'm doing this myself now because Dak is far too busy to hang about with me. So that means that we'll have different guests every week for the roundup. And my guests this week, we've got Paul Adams, the media man from Drumchapel, who also does Pure Boys. And then we have Des Roach, behind the whistles and former assistant manager at Kilbirnie and the Meda. Probably part of the reason that the Meda are in the position they're in right now. But, lads, thank you very much for coming on.
Mate. Thank you.
We'll
What
just
an introduction.
fire some shots right away. But for everybody listening, we are going to go through the South of Scotland results and then we'll go through the league results. Try my best to keep it to about half an hour. And it's good to be back and we'll go for our usual stuff. How you doing, lads?
I'll go first, aye.
You go first.
Aye, decent. We'll quickly touch on Drumchapel. Obviously, boys won the first division last year. Quite convincingly in the end. It was exciting, hoping the rest of the management team absolutely buzzing. Great job there. And as you can see, PG, it's been a good start to the Premier League, albeit a difficult Wednesday night. Travel down to Barfield's, Largs, just a really tough place to go. It's been a good start for the Drum.
What about yourself, Des? How you getting on? I know you are just back now with your own podcast. How's it been?
It's been good. We took some time off over the summer. We were doing Twitter and we've done a couple of guest podcasts and stuff like that. But we've recorded today, so we're back. We're back and we're going to do it. Obviously, missing football, and obviously West of Scotland being my favourite thing. So yeah, delighted to be back.
Excellent. It's good to have you back. I'll be looking forward to listening. So I'm going to read out the South results, just the West teams, obviously. And before we do that, I'd shown the guys this. So if you're watching, normally I have a notebook that I get. I buy a new notebook for every season. So I've got every result in it, but I've not had the chance to get it. Being ill prepared, I've ended up with my daughter's unicorn book. So that will get us through for the first episode. But enough of the nonsense. South of Scotland, Ardere 0, Clydebank 4, Ardrossan 3, Broxburn 4 after extra time, Talbot 1, Hutchie Vale 0, Bellshill 3, Edinburgh South 2, The Bens 2, Yoker 0, Blantyre 2, Lochgelly Albert 2, 4-2 to Lochgelly Albert and penalties, BSC 4, St Peters 3 after extra time, Cali Locals 2, Lochmaben 2, 5-4 to Cali Locals and penalties, Cambuslang 2, Vale Leven 3, Dundonald Bluebell 0, Troon 4, Perthshire 2, Drumchapel 3, Glasgow United 5, Stirling Uni 3, Greenock 3, Glenvale 1. Right, this is a team I actually don't even think I'd ever heard of this team before. Inverkeith and Hillfield Swifts 2, Lesmahago 3, Kilsyth 1, Hurlford 2, Robroy 2, Mid Annandale 0, Lanark 3, Whitburn 2, Lancarty 2, Kilbirnie 5, Maple 0, Caledonian Braves 1, Petershill 1, Darvel 4, Pumferson 0, Irvine Vicks 5, Shotts 2, Glencairn 1 after extra time, St Andrews United and Gartcairn, that was a home walkover, Vale of Clyde 5, Stonyburn 1 after extra time, Wishaw 0, Oakley 0, 4-1 to Wishaw after penalties. Paul, we'll start with yourselves. 3-2 against Perthshire. I was trying to keep up with it when I was at the Pollockton, the Borough game. I think you were 3-0 up at one point and they've managed to pull it back a bit. But tell us about the game. How was it?
Aye. So obviously a few changes from Wednesday night's defeat against Largs. A few boys obviously maybe played quite a lot of minutes over the last 4 or 5 games. It's given Hope, he said in his interview, it's given him a chance to bring a few bodies in to get them some more minutes in the legs and things like that. 2-0 at half time, and we got a very, very quick, I think we scored 30 seconds into the second half, and I think puts game off the gas a wee bit, and it's got a little bit uncomfortable towards the end of the match at 3-2. I think Kevin Fells came back to do one on us. You know what Kevin's capable of. PG, you know, it was a great strike with the wee man. And it's just made it a wee bit uncomfortable the last 10 minutes or so. It's no, I would imagine you want to go as far as you can in cup competitions, don't you, mate? And I think, I hope he said in his interview he felt the last 10 minutes we controlled it quite well and could have probably went on and grabbed a fourth. I don't think Perthshire would have had any complaints about the result. A good win into the next round, mate.
I think that's probably one that Perthshire will take a bit of confidence for, knowing that you are sitting top half of the Premier League,
Right.
doing really well, and for them to push it close shows that, or gives them a bit of confidence anyway. A result for me that stuck out when I saw it today, because I didn't see much yesterday, would be Glasgow United beating Stirling Uni. I appreciate Stirling Uni, they're not the same team that they were maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but that's a good result for Glasgow United, particularly taking 5 off them. Des, what's your thoughts on any of the games in particular in the South this week?
I think the Kilburnie winning 5-2 away
Aye.
to Lunkerty. I think that's a big result. I think that's great. The club's obviously had a wee ups and downs over the last couple of years. Obviously, I was involved in part of it. No, I thought that was a great result. I thought that was really good. The other ones, I don't really think it was that really big upsets.
Nah.
And I think they were all pretty much what you would expect and what you would hope for. But no, I think Kilburnie going away winning 5-2 away from home. I think that's a great result.
I think it shows how they've started this season in particular, because I think they've been very good this season. Their form, I think it's good that they've stuck with a management team when it was a wee bit tense with them and a bit tight, and they've managed to pick up near the second half of last season. And that shows yesterday that they're looking at pushing on again. I watched the Talbot highlights against Hutchie Vale, and it was 1-0, but it's hard to tell with highlights because it's obviously the Talbot's highlights. They put the package together, and you know what it's like, Paul. When you put the highlights together, you can make it look however you want it to look.
I couldn't even win tonight, mate. I tried my best, but I couldn't.
But literally, the Talbot looked like it could have been 5 or 6. They looked so comfortable. The fans were kind of all in at the end and everything as well.
But see, Talbot can win 5-0. They can win 1-0. It doesn't matter. They win.
I think that, talking about Kilburnie picking up at the second half of last season, Talbot are similar. They started to make a bit of charge. It was obviously too late for them to push for the championship, but they started to make a bit of charge. And I seen that when I was at Craigmark, and they absolutely leathered us in the cup, and they looked a bit more like a Talbot team for years gone by. You know what you're getting with Tucker's team, very direct, very physical, but I thought they'd quite a bit of quality, like Kyle McAvoy up front and stuff like that. There's goals out of him. They've got a couple of younger players. They look solid at the back. I think that they're starting to kind of tick a wee bit, and I think they'll be in the mix to try and push to win the league this season as well.
Look at the start they had. I know it was like a free for all in terms of putting together a team for Auckland Talbot last year, but look at the difference in the starts for last season to this season.
Right.
I think you're right, PG. I think that they'll definitely be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. And Tucker's going into his 200th season or something with Auckland Talbot. You just listen. Tucker's teams are so hard to beat, and we've got them next week. You know, they come to the Drum next week. That'll be a massive occasion actually, just for our club. Do you know what I mean? But it's Auckland Talbot is the benchmark, aren't they? 100% they're the benchmark.
It's still viewed. I know they have taken a dip in the last few years, but they are still viewed as the benchmark. But talking about benchmarks, moving on to Clydebank, 4-0 against Ardea. Ardea have had a good start. I'm quite pleased to see it because Sean's a good guy, and he had a bit of a hard time last year, and it looks like his team's going to be more competitive and looking to push for promotion this year. Clydebank 4-0. Everybody expect them to win, but the start they've made to the season has been very, very strong. 5 out of 5. They've went for Leishman. They've got Syme centre half. They've got Dean Cairns, middle of the park, brought in Keir Sampson. That's the spine of their team sorted. And I think that they've got the nucleus there who have been there for quite a few years, who know what Moff likes and how he wants to play. They're going to be a hard team to beat this season as well. And it's something we can touch on more when we start talking about the league stuff. But that was a comfortable win for them. A result I want to touch on before we move on to the league. Not necessarily a shock or anything like that, but Darvel beating Petershill 4-1. That was a result that Darvel needed big time. Mick really needed that, and I think that that could be a hugely important result for their season.
I think Petershill started really well.
Mm.
You know, in the first division, they've got a few wins under their belt. They beat Drumchapel twice last year. You know, so that Stephen McNeil's get them playing some good football, and they've got some good players there. It's like he says. I think, you know, Mick taking the job down there. They're the Scottish Cup champions. It's a big job. He'll be delighted, absolutely delighted to get a win under his belt, because when you start, you know, you go, that's four games in a row that we're beating, and things start to get a bit noisy when you start losing more games. And I don't know from a Mick perspective, but I just know that he'll be absolutely delighted to get that one under his belt, albeit it's not the league, but it can bring a bit of confidence to the team, can bring a bit of something different on the park next week when they go and play the league match.
Definitely. I was actually looking at there was 15 games that the West teams played against other opposition from be the East or the South, however. 12 out of 15, the West won. It shows how strong, Des, that the West is at this time. And don't get me wrong, it's not a surprise, because I think it's kind of askew, because the East teams who seem to win their league seem to get themselves into their own league, and the teams, obviously, Beath winning it 2 years in a row, have not been able to get themselves up because of the issues with the park. But I think it shows the strength that we have in the West all the way through, that they're just so comfortably beating teams from the East and the South.
Yeah, no, I think the dominance in non-league football is certainly within the West. I don't think that's under question. We've said about Beath. If Beath had the protocol to go up, Beath would have won that. Not a problem. Beath would have won it. Straney's done so well down there, but then you look at the depth in the West.
I know.
So if you take, you've got Clydebank, who are my favourites to win the league this year. You've looked at Darvel the last couple of years, beating Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup. You get Pollock, who are a massive club. Auchinleck. The depth of non-league football is in the West. The East have had, they've had a wee. You don't want to say it's a fluke, because Trinent and stuff like that, are obviously, and Bonnyrigg have done well, and quite rightly so. But the depth of talent in non-league football is in the West, and that's our bread and butter. That's what we watch, what we are involved in, which we want to promote. Drum coming up as well. It's got to enhance the game over here, isn't it? I mean, there's no adult man goes, oh right, where can I go and watch? You go and watch a West Scotland game.
Definitely. You touched on Beath there. We're going to go into league action just now. In the Premier League, Beath 2, Largs 1, Pollock 1, the Borough 1. Since you've mentioned them, we'll start with Beath. Paul, obviously you were at Largs with Drumchapel during the week there, and I won't lie, you know, I've got a kind of connection with the Drum. I was there last year. I really like Hopi. The club have been great to myself and Dak when we were doing the podcast.
Yeah.
So I always look for the Drum, and kind of like the Drum and the Port and stuff. They're always the teams I want to win. But I had a feeling that after the great start that the Drum had, Largs were going to be the team to beat them, because Arnie, year after year, makes his team so hard to beat, and they always go and you almost never see them taking a down for any of the top teams. Beath needed that win yesterday, 2-1, which was a big one for them because they've not started quite as well. They've only lost 1 out of 5, but they've dropped points in 3 out of 5. They really needed that one yesterday. What did you think of the Largs team when you played them last week?
I thought, honestly, they were so hard to break down. Like Arnie's obviously got them very well regimented. Watching on as a media guy, it's a wee bit different sometimes. You kind of see things a wee bit differently. Hope you would have maybe seen things differently for what I seen, but I think if it were personally well organised, well regimented, every one of Arnie's players working really hard for themselves, for the team. And I just think Barfields is such a hard place to go. No very many people go there, get a result, come back with a point, you're laughing. And I think actually Hopey would have probably been happy with that. Hopey did mention in his interview with me yesterday, we spoke about the Largs game because we never had a chance to speak after the game. I actually think we're very lucky to get away because 2-0, it was borderline 5 or 6. Ryan Scully pulled off 4 or 5 absolute unbelievable saves. And I'll tell you what, by the way, what a goalkeeper that guy is.
Oh, I've heard he's had a great start to the season.
Aye, listen, he's our media kind of outputs changed a wee bit, and I'm letting somebody else edit the highlights, and now we've missed Scully's saves. It's been a bit mad. Back to Largs, like I said, just it's so hard to go to a place, especially on a Wednesday night. Boys are coming from Bride, Drumchapel, various other places throughout Glasgow to get to Largs for a 7 o'clock kickoff. Now that's no disrespect, but it's really hard to prepare mentally, physically for that because boys are finishing work at 5 o'clock, jumping in their car, boosting down. I suppose some of the boys at Largs will probably had to do that as well, but it's no ideal. But listen, Arnie's team, very, very hard to break down. And they were good. They were very good for the win on the day. But Stuart Falls has scored an excellent goal. And Will Sewell does what Will Sewell does. Goals.
That's the thing for me. I'm looking at the league table. Beath and Largs both have 2 wins, 2 draws, and a defeat. Will Sewell and Falls, I think a lot of teams were looking at Falls as well. When you've got guys like that, it allows you a bit of freedom where it's something we'll touch on with the Pollock team in a second if they've been at the game yesterday, but it allows you the freedom to make mistakes at the back at times where you know you've got guys like that who are going to pull you out a hole. Beath, on the flip side, the last few years, they lost Josh Fowler, they've lost Big Kieran. I don't know if they're replaceable at this level with the amount of goals they score and the quality they have. Obviously, Kieran's gone to St Cadoc's and he's not quite firing all cylinders yet, but it's very hard to replace guys like that. But on the Pollock game, to go into that, they've got an issue where Fordy's not scored yet, Doc's not scored yet, Kieran McPhee's not scored many yet. So that's where it's an issue for them. I think if the three of them, because they're all quality players, if they're scoring goals like they normally do, then Pollock are probably only going to be a couple of points away from the top of the league. In my opinion, yesterday, Largs obviously got the goalkeeper sent off in the first 5 minutes. I was held up with traffic, so I missed the first 10 minutes of the game. That almost kills the game, to be fair, in the first 10 minutes.
Borough. Yeah.
Sorry, Johnson Borough.
The boy Scullion.
So Scullion gets sent off in the first 5 minutes, changes the whole shape of the game. I thought the Pollock first half was so comfortable. The Borough looked a bit rattled. They were gone long so many times in the first half. Pollock didn't let them out. And then Pollock got the goal, and it looks like it was only a matter of time before they got another. They get at half-time 1-up. I'd say the Borough probably had a 10-minute spell where they started to get back in and scored at that time, and then Pollock took over again when Edie gets sent off. But Pollock need the goals, particularly. I don't think it's a surprise to hear for anybody that Pollock, their budget's been cut massively over the last year or two, and they're working with a different age bracket of players and maybe a different calibre of players on paper. But I actually thought they looked quite good. I thought some of the young players did well. I like Dec Black, who came for Greenock. He's a good young player. They've got a bit of quality there. Pollock's a team you know very well, obviously, when you did a bit of scouting for them and stuff. You probably know them better than either of us do, but what's your view on the situation at Pollock just now?
I think at the moment, Max is obviously working under a different auspices that he did when he took over. It's completely flipped. We've seen that last year with the way the budget was having to be cut. But do you know what? I think he's doing really well. I think he gets a hard press a lot of the time. But he's having to work with the budget he's got. He's bringing in a lot of young guys from what you wouldn't say is established teams. He's no going getting guys for your Auchinlecks and your Medas. I know he brought Kyle Faulds in last year. But I personally, I think he's done really, really well. I think Docherty's come back for his loan spell at Gartcairn. He's came back as a refreshed striker. With Fordy, he's stayed again as well. You've got McPhee up front. I think Pollock will be in there.
I
think
agree.
they'll really. I think they will be in there. What I really do need to think is you've got Gow and you've got Forrester as your two main centre halves. They need to be playing. They need to be playing. That'll be your solidity in the centre of defence. And if you can get the ball front, Newlands Field, it's not a big playing surface. So if you can get the ball back to front, and it's not the way you want to go sometimes, but if you need results, I wouldn't bet against Pollock this year.
No, I was quite impressed with him at spells. I know, again, the Borough had down to 10 men for pretty much the whole game, so it does change how you look at it. But you're talking about Gow and Forrester. Forrester's done great with his header. His goal was excellent. People are saying, and they're right, some people commented on, because I put the video on Twitter, some people are commenting, the marking's poor. I don't know if it was Edie or Danny Neal that's let him go. But his run's excellent. He's timed it beautifully. There's no chance of keeper saving it. He smashed it in. He's done well there. And do you know, every time I watch Pollock, Big Gow at centre half, and I don't mean to sound like I'm speaking ill of his ability, right? But I don't think he's an overly ball player type centre half. But he's a guy I'd have in my team because
he's a defender.
He works so hard. He goes and wins headers. You know he's putting himself in where he needs to put himself in. And I think that he's a massive player. People talk about Fordy, who's obviously quality. I thought Luke Main was good yesterday. I thought he caused them issues with driving through the middle of the park. But people talk about the players like that. But I think that Gow's just as important. And Ben Fry, the save he makes from Jordan Moore when he came on, Jordan Moore made a massive difference for me when he came on.
I think Ben Fry he's come on more.
Yeah.
He needed that year. He needed that year to settle in, and he now knows. I think he's matured a wee bit, and he's still very young.
He's only about 20.
He's been looked after by an absolute legend in Jordan Longmuir, isn't he?
Yeah.
Listen, I think anybody who deputises to a keeper of Jordan's quality is just only going to benefit from it. I'm quite glad that Ryan's went there as well, because I think again Ryan will benefit for that as well. You mentioned there, Des, about the sort of Pollock hard press thing. I think that comes obviously for Pollock being a massive club. I spoke to him actually a couple of weeks ago, and the way when you speak to him, actually, he's quite blasé. He's like, yeah, just need to get on with it. Just need to get on with the job in hand, and he's went and done that. And I know Kirky Robroy didn't win loads of trophies or anything like that through his tenure, but he brought some excellent players in. And listen, if anybody can do a job with Pollock on a budget, it's definitely Maxie.
Rob Roy weren't supposed to be winning. They were probably supposed to get relegated, and Maxie
and he done
competitive all the time. I tell you what, you say quite blasé. My arse claps to interview him yesterday. He was absolutely fuming. That's how I got Dak in. I was like, Maxie was absolutely raging. I was like, I don't even.
I think when you're playing again, I think I had a quick look through the social media stuff when Pop posted the results. With time Bob on social media, it's good to go and get a kind of an idea of what people are thinking, and all that you're seeing is, imagine only John 1-1 to Johnson Borough, who are doing to 9 men, but I think you got to see the bigger picture. You know, it's sometimes like when you go down to 10, you're going to start defending for your life. So it's then very hard to break teams down. And go and try and get a goal. It sounded like you were there yesterday. It sounded like Paul probably did have the majority of the game, but just couldn't find the.
What definitely were in the ascendancy for pretty much the whole game. Credit to the Borough where they did so well, particularly when they went to 9, because they all, like the Jordan Moore effort, they almost got the win and they would have stole it in my eyes. But speaking to Murdy after it, he's happy with the fact that they're doing to 9 men at Newlands Field and they've managed to get a draw. It keeps them second in the league and they're still right in the hunt. You know what I mean? I think it's a different pressure for the Borough this year because everybody expects so much from who they've got, but that is what it is.
I still think they'll go. Listen, I still think they'll go and get more. I don't think they're finished.
They had a lot of bodies behind the dugout yesterday who would walk into most teams in the league. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the way it is. But we'll move on to the first division. Cowannon 2, Cumbernauld 3, Thorneywood 3, The Rock 2, Ashfield 1, Meda 1. Cowannon, I think they were 2 up and then lost 3-2. I seen Kev Kelly's interview earlier. He could hardly talk, so he's obviously been doing.
I fear for Cowannon this year.
They're in a position just now. I mean,
they're ninth in the league, right? And Cumbernauld are second. See, I don't mean a good Cowannon team. That's a strong Cowannon team. You're not getting beat. You're not getting beaten at home by Cumbernauld.
Aye, I think that you could be right. I think Cowannon will struggle. And Paul, you seen it last year with the Drum.
Yeah,
that league's mental. Like I think that just a quick bit on the Drum. You see them winning 4 out of 5, and I don't think the Drum will finish top 2 or 3. I think they'll maybe fall down to the.
I don't know.
Because I just don't. I think that there'll be.
You're not allowed back. You're not allowed back.
There'll be top 5 or 6 because I think they're good. The Premier Division suits the Drum better for me with the type of players they've got.
You're right.
You look at players like Hoppy and all that and Temps, and so much ability in there that it'll suit them better because they'll go and play because they're playing against better sides. Know that the First Division don't have good sides, but that league is so difficult because you've got Blantyre who are sitting bottom of the league, lost 5 out of 5. But Blantyre can go and beat Glencairn who are top of the league. It shows Glencairn have won 3 out of 5 and drawn 2. So you're dropping points in kind of 40% of your games and you're still top of the league. That's the kind of league it is.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Des. I think Cowannon will struggle. But a result for me that I think is really important, Thorneywood beating The Rock 3-2. I think that's a massive result for Goms. I think that The Rock, maybe behind closed doors, will be talking about trying to push as much as they can to get into that top 3. And for Thorneywood to beat them, I think that's a really good result for them.
Yeah.
I think sorry, Des. I actually spoke on another wee podcast the other day there about the Renfrew and Thorneywood game, and I found myself, I don't know if it's because I really like Goms, but I found myself really kind of in the Thorneywood camp, and I've made an absolute arse of it, you know, and because Renfrew of them went and absolutely hammered them 5-1, you know, you can't help but want Goms's team to do well, you know, and I'm super pleased that they've won that game on Saturday. Back to like you were talking about Cowannon there, PG. I think Kevin Kelly's an excellent appointment, right? I must say that first of all, right? Because he's a great manager. I think it might be difficult for him at times. Listen, he's going to get through weekends where he's going to want to hammer his head off a wall, and like all managers probably do. But I can't he's just a great guy. I think it's a great appointment with the club. Everybody at Cowan speak really highly of him, and I really hope that the results come for Kevin and Cowan.
I think it's more a Cowan issue than a
Yeah.
Cave issue. I think that Cowan have had so many problems in the last few years where it's no worked for them. Like you've seen, even with
Yeah.
Gordon being there, and then Chris Aiken started to get it right, and then you've obviously got the palaver of him thinking he's getting another job, and then he
Yeah.
resigns, and then doesn't get the other job if rumours are to be believed. Kev, I hope the club give him time because Kev's a good manager.
100%.
And
I mean, they need to give him time.
They need to give him time. I think
They
that's
need to give him time.
moving on to the second division. Only the one game, 4-2 Maryhill 2. 4-2 nil up, I believe. Maryhill have pulled it back, so they've done well to get a point. I don't really know a great deal about how the games went. I've not seen it. Normally I watch Mark's interviews, but I don't even know if it's been put up yet. But fourth last season did quite well. They're right in the relegation battle at the moment. Again, like you're talking about with Ashfield, there's 25 games to go. There's still very, very long to go in the season. But it's been a poor start for them, only one out of 6, and obviously the draw yesterday. But it's hard for teams because I know that division quite well now after being there with Craig Mark, and it's quite a tricky division. There's a lot of, particularly this year, because you don't have Ardrossan in it, you don't have Cumbernauld in it. There's not going to be anybody that's going to run away with that league like you did last year, because the two of them for me, particularly Ardrossan, they're a first division team. They've the money they've spent, the players they've got, they're better than the second division, which they obviously showed. I feel like this could be one of the tightest divisions. This could be similar to the first division this season with just how tight it is. I don't imagine you see Forth or Maryhill play very much, but what's your thoughts on how this division could play out? We're sitting with Muirkirk 5 out of 5, which I would never have predicted because I always predict Muirkirk to go down, and they love it.
Aye. Well, see, to be fair, I think Maryhill will do all right because you see when you play up there, it's a hard place to go to. I know Andrew Gibson pretty well, the assistant manager. I think it's going to be one of the seasons where there's not going to be a stick out team. There's not going to be a stick out team. I'm looking at the divisions right now. So I mean, you've got Muirkirk. I mean, who would have said Muirkirk went 5 and 5?
Definitely.
When was that ever done? Right, and that's no disrespect to Muirkirk.
Ross Cusick's done an incredible job, by the way. A wee shout out to Ross and all. I like Ross a lot. Ross's teams kind of came, obviously a wee bit different now. Ross's teams came from a spawn of a very successful Bember under-20s team.
Yeah.
And he's kind of just built on that, Des. And I actually asked him, I don't know, I'm not going to do a dark and sit in the fence sort of thing here. I messaged Ross straight away, do you know fancy that Bember job? Do you know? And he's like, no. It's Muirkirk for me. We're focusing. We're looking. We've got 5 for 5. Fair play. I mean, he brought in Sempe, obviously, who was at co-winning Rangers last year. 37-year-old, as experienced as they come. And I think he'll probably look to add one or more two to solidify team. Listen, I would be I know it's early doors, and you don't want to make a prediction, but listen, I hope he does well, and I want Muirkirk to be there or thereabouts. You say that you don't normally say that. A sentence 5 and 5, Muirkirk on 5 and 5 doesn't happen very often.
The team that I'm thinking potentially with the ground and the support base, I think Nielsen. You can't count out Nielsen. I think Nielsen will be up amongst it. Whitlets as well with the Ayrshire catchment area. Christ, we had 7 of them at Irvine that we sent back. So I think Nielsen and Whitlets will be there and thereabouts. You
would expect Whitlets, wouldn't you? Because they've came down. Listen, Whitlets was a place I didn't like to go, and I don't even think we'll be like to go there either. Do you know what I mean? But Nielsen, brought in a lot of like, amateur boys
Yeah.
this season. Yeah, Sean Grady, Conor McKay, boys like that, boys that are probably deserve a right good shot at that level. And I think you might be right, Des. I think Nielsen could be there or thereabouts at the end of the season, mate.
Yeah.
One that surprised me, I thought Bonneton would actually do a wee bit better this season. They've had a poor start, and they've got a couple of boys that played for me at Craig Mark, some of the better players, and I thought that they would have done better. It's been quite a poor start. And on Craig Mark, just before we move on to third division, on Craig Mark, that's quite a sore one. Conceded 29 goals in 5 games. New manager came in after us because I knew we knew we couldn't fix it. It was we were only going to be able to bring in 6 or 7 extra bodies that we wanted to bring in and hold on to everybody that we had, and it was just going to be too hard. And it's proven to be even worse than I thought it was going to be.
PJ, where the Craig Mark train?
Kilmarnock.
Kilmarnock.
So it's not too bad, to be honest. It's
Yeah.
right off the motorway in Kilmarnock, so the train right beside Glenafton. But aye, I'll move on because I said half an hour and we're nearly at 40 minutes already. So third division, Dorai 5, Girvan 3, Glasgow Uni 4, Lugar 1, 3-4, Coolside 1. Surprised at the result with Lugar. Glasgow Uni beating them. Lugar, I think, I'll have a wee look just now, but if Lugar had won yesterday, they would have been sitting top of the league. So
Aye, they
I'm
would
a
have
bit
been.
surprised. And Glasgow Uni, if they hadn't won yesterday, would be sitting potentially bottom of the league. So I'm quite surprised at that. But it's good to see teams like Thorn. I think that Thorn and we're all from areas that are pretty close to the
Yeah.
Thorn. I think that they're doing a great job. I think Stephen McKnight's doing a ridiculously good job. I think as a club, they're doing a good job and look like they're pushing themselves forward. And it's actually, I'm definitely going to go down and see them this season because I think that they really are trying to do the right things. And they've got a lot of boys who you don't really know of. Like, they're not, I know they've got Darren Jones that they brought in, who's a good player, but they've not got a lot of boys who you would say, oh, he's played at this level for years or he's been here or there or whatever. They've got a lot of boys who came for their amateurs and they've plucked other boys in for elsewhere. And they've
Most of their boys are academy. Most of them are for
and
their academy, mate.
I think
Yeah.
that's something that they're really big on is bringing it through. And I think they'll do well this year. I'd like to see them go up. I'd like to see them win the league, to be honest, but I'd like to see them go up. But just a point behind them in the league is Thrieve, who I still find Thrieve a funny one. I mean, Des, I don't know what you think about it. The fact that they came into our setup instead of just trying to win the South and go up that way,
I find
it's,
that
it's strange. But don't get me wrong, they're here now. They've been here a few years. It was a good win against Coolside yesterday, who they obviously had the ding dong battles with when they were both in the fourth division. But it's hard because I don't really know why they've come into this setup, even though it's a couple of years down the line.
the only thing I can think is they must have a very powerful backer because think of the travelling
I know.
they're doing. But I mean, they're sitting second in the league. Coolside are 12th.
Mm-hmm.
Would you have thought years ago that Thrieve Rovers would have been in the West of Scotland League? So
No.
yeah, it's a big gamble for them. They seem to be doing well. I mean, obviously they've played 4, won 3, drawn 1, lost none. They've got a positive 14 goal advantage. So they've always got something about them. And I would like to think that in that locality where they are, they've got the talent pool
Aye.
down there.
You would think
But
so.
but for them to play in the West of Scotland League, they've taken a big jump and good on them. And do you know what? If they're holding their own in that level and they can get promotion, fair play to them.
I think that they're a team who are going to push on and go maybe
Yeah.
second division, maybe first division. I don't think Premier League, but I think you're right. With that catchment area they've got, they should be looking to try and bring in the best from where they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Final game that was played yesterday, 5-3 Dorai with Girvan. I think that Girvan obviously had quite a tough season last year. I think that Dean's done a good job there. He's trying to bring in players, and I don't imagine they have a huge amount of money, but that's a it's a good result for Chris Wilson's Dorai team. I think they'll be in and about it this season, pushing to try and get themselves into the top three and go up. But I think that with Dean there, he knows the level inside out. He's played this level for years, coached at it. He knows his stuff, and I think that they'll be looking to push to go forward. But moving on to the fourth division, Carluke 1, Giffnock 1, Kello 2, Campbelltown 0, Royal Albert 1, Port Glasgow 6. What's the thoughts on that division yesterday then, lads?
I think the
I
best.
think, sorry, on you go, Des.
I think the best team weren't playing. I think the league winners weren't playing.
And who would that be for you?
It's Knightswood.
Aye, what's your thoughts on the whole Knightswood thing? Because obviously they've went from being a very young side, then the team got ripped apart when Stevie went to St. Peter's, which obviously that went the way it went. And now it looks like they've come out anywhere with players like Kenny Marshall and Darren Miller.
Yeah, so they've also signed Liam Coogans as well. And Cougs will score goals for fun in that division.
Didn't even realise they'd signed Cooks.
I didn't either.
Wow. Willie Palmer as well. Willie's there as well.
He's my surrogate son. My wife, my wife thinks he's my surrogate son. They will. That's wrong. They should drop that league.
See, the thing is, well, you look at for me, Port Glasgow yesterday 6-1. I know Royal Albert haven't started particularly well, but Royal Albert aren't a bad team. That's a good win that the Port needed, because the Port, for me, concede far too many goals. I went down and watched them against Ross Vale. It was a kind of game of two halves. The Port were the better team first half, Ross Vale were the better team second half, but a draw was probably a fair result. There's a lot of quality in that Port team, and there's a lot of experience. I mean, you've got Chris Miller, you've got Mark Miller, you've got Gary Pettigrew in there. You've got even you've got wee Dills up top. There's quality.
As young John Rogers went into Port Glasgow. I don't know if that's maybe something I've just heard.
I'm sure I'd seen that as well, actually, but I'm not sure.
Maybe have a wee look to find out, because Sean's a great player. Great player.
We've got good players there, honestly. I think that the Port should really look to get promoted this year. And
is it still Tam?
I'm still taking it. I think it was good that the committee gave Tam time after last year, because I think they massively underachieved. But they'll go and push on this season. But Ross Vale are another one who, for me, with Josh, I think he's a really good manager. They're a team that will look to push on. We've got Giffnock as well. I think they're a funny one, where last year they were so strong and threw the league away, or threw promotion away, right to the death, drawing points to BSC and stuff like that. They've obviously got issues in the background in terms of nothing serious, but they've lost some players, like Big Jerry Clark's gone to Mabel. That's a hard one to replace for them, because I think he scored 20 odd goals last year. There's a bit of movement in that league every year, and teams come out of nowhere and start to push on. But me and Dak always said this was, I did anyway, this is probably one of my favourite leagues. I really enjoy this league because it's a lot of young guys and having a go at each other. Then you've got Kello 2-0 against Campbelltown. I feel for Campbelltown. I think that it's going to be another season with them bottom of the pile.
Yeah.
But Kello should be looking to try and push on, because they are an established team at this level, more so than a lot of teams in the division.
I was going to say, Port Glasgow on paper, aren't they a fourth division team? PG? You know what I mean?
Second division team for me.
I mean, they are a fourth division team, but on paper, they're not. You know what I mean? When would you ever have thought Port Glasgow juniors would be close to being bottom of the pile?
I know.
And it's a similar thing with Carluke as well. It's weird seeing Carluke in the Scottish Cup draw, and then in the fourth division battling away at the bottom. It's you're seeing. I suppose, PG, I remember having a chat with you last year, and we were talking about clubs like Knightswood and things like that coming up, and I think we both came to the consensus of that actually the league does need teams like Knightswood and things like that, because There is teams that have just pitter-pattered over the last 10 years or so, and they're coming up to challenge these teams. You know, your Finn Arts who have had promotions, West Park who have had promotions. You've mentioned there about Josh's Rossvale and things like that. They're all teams that are going to go and challenge the likes of Carluke and Kello and things like that. So they are your Kellos and Carlukes are longly established, but I think these teams are coming up to try and do something.
You're absolutely right, Paul. You're absolutely right. You need fresh blood. You need
competition.
You need competition, exactly. You need to keep teams on their toes, being alert, going, do you know what? It's not just a forgiven that we're going to be in this league.
Yeah.
You need people to be on their toes to say, I want to go up and I want to avoid going down.
I don't want to get into the Team 42 debacle because, like, you know, we've seen teams like Bury Rangers and Albion Rovers and various other teams go down that I don't feel that we'll ever see back in the SPFL. But obviously there's nowhere else to go for Division 4, you know. It's finish bottom of it and restart, you know. So, like, it's good to see teams like Knightswood come in and try to scale it.
But that's where on the other side you need your Clydebanks, your Pollocks, your Talbots, Bees or whoever to go up.
Yeah.
And then it there can be a
You need somebody to break it. Like, we've not managed to break it. It's one thing that's infuriated me. It's not a Beef problem, right? Obviously, they've got their own issues, right? Beef won the league the last 2 years, and they've been the best team the last 2 years. That's why they've won the league. But it's infuriating. As just a fan of the West of Scotland, seeing a Broxburn, a Linlithgow go into that long league. Sometimes I think teams don't want to get into that long league, but we need somebody to break the chain.
You need it. And it's also be interesting for Tottenham's sake, right? I'll just use them as an example. Albion Rovers, right? Even though they're looking a wee bit better this year, say Albion Rovers finish bottom in the league and Clydebank win it this year. They make it up, Albion Rovers come down. That's quite interesting for everybody else as well to have Albion Rovers and our set up a historically established team in the leagues, to have them and going to Cliftonville to play them and having them come to your place. I think it's what Scottish football needs, and these teams will start to see as well what our level is and how impressive it is. But look, we'll leave it there, guys. I really appreciate you two being my guest for my first show of my own podcast, and that
I was going to get a wig in that and try to be like pretend to be that, but I'm not as handsome as him, so I probably wouldn't have been able to pull it off, you know.
But that's how I had to bring Des in, because we needed some hair.
That's it, some hair.
But look, guys, I genuinely appreciate you both coming on, and I will have you back on if you're more than happy.
You're more than welcome.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. And thanks, everybody, for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the episode and I hope you enjoyed being back. I'm going to hopefully be recording an interview with a Premier League manager this week, which should be released next Wednesday, as long as he doesn't patch me. But thanks for watching, and get out and support your local teams. Cheers.